Dr. Sarah Chen knelt in the center of the arena, her hands bound behind her back, trying to maintain her composure as 20,000 bloodthirsty spectators roared for her death. The Corvani had turned her trial into entertainment, and she was about to become the main event. "Behold!" boomed Emperor Thackeral from his imperial box, his forearms spread wide in theatrical gesture. The human spy who dared infiltrate our sacred breeding facilities will now face the devourer, the most vicious predator in the galaxy. The massive gates across the arena began to grind open, and Sarah felt her heart rate spike despite her training. Through her xenobiology research, she knew exactly what was coming. The devourer of Forvax Prime, a 6-meter-tall apex predator with crystalline claws, armored hide, and a hunger that had made it the stuff of nightmares across 17 star systems. The creature that emerged, however, made Sarah's breath catch for entirely different reasons. Yes, it was massive. Yes, it had claws that could shred starship hull plating. But as it stepped into the arena's light, Sarah saw something the screaming crowd couldn't. The devourer was injured, malnourished, and its eyes held not mindless rage, but deep, intelligent pain. "Kill the human," Emperor Thackeral commanded, his voice echoing through the arena's amplification system. "Show these pathetic mammals what happens to those who threaten the Corvani Empire." The devourer turned towards Sarah, its massive head lowering as it began to stalk forward. The crowd's roar intensified as they anticipated the inevitable slaughter. But Sarah did something that stunned the arena into momentary silence. She started singing. It was a lullaby her grandmother had taught her, a simple, wordless melody that carried across the arena like gentle water over stones. But she sang it with more than just her voice. Sarah was one of the rare humans born with empathic projection abilities, and she poured every ounce of calm, peaceful intention into the song. The devourer stopped mid-stride. Its massive head tilted, and for the first time in months, the creature heard something other than screams, commands, or the sound of its own claws scraping against stone. The melody seemed to bypass its conditioned responses and speak directly to something deeper. Sarah continued singing, never breaking eye contact with the creature. Through her empathic senses, she could feel its confusion, its pain, and underneath it all, a desperate loneliness that made her heart ache. "What is it doing?" Emperor Thackeral demanded from his box. "Why isn't it attacking?" "Kill her," shouted a Corvani noble. "The creature is defective." But the devourer wasn't defective. It was remembering. Sarah's song triggered something buried deep in the creature's psyche, memories of its youth on Corvax Prime. Before the Corvani had captured it, before years of forced starvation and conditioning had turned it into a gladiatorial weapon. Memories of its pack, of gentle communications through harmonic sounds, not unlike the human's melody. Slowly, carefully, the massive predator approached. Sarah kept singing, even as her heart hammered against her ribs. She was either about to make the greatest breakthrough in interspecies communication history, or become the quickest meal in arena records. The devourer lowered its great head until it was level with Sarah's. Its breath was warm against her face, and she could see intelligence in its eyes, not the mindless hunger the crowd expected, but awareness, curiosity, and something that looked almost like gratitude. Then, to the complete shock of 20,000 spectators, the creature settled down beside Sarah like an enormous, deadly dog. "Impossible!" Emperor Thackeral screamed. "Guards, activate the pain stimulators." The arena's control systems sent electric shocks through implants in the devourer's nervous system, trying to force it back into aggressive behavior. The creature flinched and growled, but instead of attacking Sarah, it moved protectively in front of her. Sarah felt the creature's pain through her empathic connection, and her song changed, becoming something fiercer, more defiant. She was no longer just calming the beast, she was sharing her own strength, her own determination to resist. The human is controlling it somehow. One of the nobles shouted, "She's using alien mind control." "No," said a voice from the Imperial box. Commander Vexana, the Emperor's chief scientist, stepped forward with scanning equipment. "She's not controlling anything. She's communicating." The readings on Vexana's instruments showed something unprecedented: synchronized brainwave patterns between human and devourer, emotional resonance fields, and harmonic frequencies that suggested actual conversation. "You mean," Emperor Thackrell said slowly, "that the creature has been intelligent all this time?" Sarah stopped singing long enough to speak, her voice carrying clearly through the sudden silence of the arena. "His name is Karath. He's not a mindless monster, he's a person. A person you've been torturing for entertainment." The devourer Karath raised his massive head and let out a sound that was part roar, part song. It carried across the arena like a wave, and every Corvani present felt something they had never associated with their pet monster, dignity. "This is preposterous," the Emperor declared. "It's a beast. A weapon." "No," Sarah said, getting to her feet as Karath moved to shield her from the Imperial box. "He's a being with thoughts, feelings, and the right to be free. And every person in this arena who came here to watch him kill me is complicit in his torture." The arena fell silent as the implications sank in. If the devourer was truly intelligent, then the gladiatorial games weren't entertainment. They were publicly sanctioned murder. Commander Vexana's scientific instruments confirmed what everyone could see. The creature was not only intelligent, but had been trying to communicate for years. The savage roars were actually sophisticated harmonic language patterns. "Your Majesty," Vexana said quietly, "if this becomes public knowledge." The Emperor's face cycled through several colors as he realized the political catastrophe brewing in his arena. The Galactic Council had strict laws about the treatment of sentient beings. If word spread that the Corvani had been enslaving and torturing an intelligent species for entertainment, "Release the human," he commanded finally, and shut down the gladiatorial programs. As Sarah's bonds were cut, Karath nuzzled against her hand with surprising gentleness for such a massive creature. Through their connection, she felt his gratitude, his relief, and his hope for something he had never thought possible: freedom. "What happens to him now?" Sarah asked. Emperor Thackrell looked at the massive predator that was now grooming itself like a contented pet. "I suppose," he said reluctantly, "we'll have to find a way to return him to his homeworld." Sarah smiled as she scratched behind Karath's armored ears, earning a rumbling purr that shook the arena floor. "I think I know someone who can help with that." The crowd began to disperse, but many spectators lingered, watching in amazement as the galaxy's most feared predator played gently with a human woman who had seen past his fearsome exterior to the lonely, intelligent being within. Sometimes, Sarah reflected, the most dangerous monsters were the ones who had forgotten they were once something else entirely. And sometimes, all it took to remind them was a simple song.